Hello, lovely listeners. I am joined today by three certified time coaches who have just gone through the certification. I've got the lovely Denise, Melanie, and Carolina here, and I'm going to invite you all to introduce yourselves, maybe in that order. Denise, you're first. Would you like to introduce yourselves to the listeners, maybe share a little bit about what got you here?
Mm. Okay, my name is Denise, and I'm in the US. I joined Time Hackers because I am struggling with a number of issues of time, as I have my entire life. But with a late diagnosis of ADHD, I was trying to find solutions, and all I was getting, well, not all, but 80, 90% were time hacks that didn't fit my brain. And they led me to checklists and calendars and habit stacking and time blocking and on and on. And that wasn't how I wanted to live my life. So I wanted something that was a little more intuitive, something that I could adapt and be just living without feeling as if I was propped up by paper, honestly.
Mm,
So,
yes, thank you for sharing. I know that's super
yeah.
relatable. And
And
go.
oh, sorry. Well, then I joined the coaching program, hoping to enrich and really cement some of the time tools and those principles, and to be more in a community. And then um, it just evolved into really wanting to become a time coach after experiencing the transformation that happens when you apply your coaching principles in real
Mm,
time. So,
so fun. So fun. Thank you for sharing, Denise.
thank you.
Think. Melanie?
I'm next, but I'm like, everything Denise said. No, that's just so awesome. And I mean, I think that's the magic of the community and doing this in a group. Like, even when Denise said, I don't want to be propped up by paper, I was just like just one sentence, but I ironically do like a lot of paper. I print everything, but the point still resonated a lot with me. So, Melanie, yeah, based in Dallas, Texas. And oh, what brought me to become a certified time coach was probably getting coached by you all for the last couple of years and just realizing through the actual experience that like you could get results so quick. And that something that in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm ruminating on this for 2 weeks. But then someone will ask one question. And then within like 10 seconds, I'm like, why didn't I know that 2 weeks ago? And that kept happening to me every time I was talking to someone. And so I was like, I want to be able to, A, have more of that, and then also like do that with other people. The other thing that really struck me as a person who got, coaching from Time Hackers was that it felt less, I'll call it painful. Like it wasn't this, it was deep, but it was deep in a very like strategic, pointed way versus just like feeling raw and like I need to like recover from it type of thing. And so that was also really special. And I was like, yes, there are so many people who want that. So yeah.
Mhm. Yes, and I love that you share that because I think, and we'll speak about this, but I think one of the key things that we teach our time coaches is creating safety. And I think that allows us to hold things
Yes.
differently and maybe more fully. So I appreciate you sharing that experience too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carolina?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Carolina. I am originally from Colombia, but I'm based in Panama. I I was I had been flirting with time hackers for many years before I joined, and I actually decided to join first the certification because I really felt that I the message you had, Vicky, resonated a lot with me. That I feel everyone has a time problem today, and I had been a yeah, I read all productivity books. I've done a lot of classes. I've done a lot of things. And I wouldn't say that they didn't work for me. There were some things that did work, but I always felt that something was missing. And while listening to you, I realized was that no perfect planner or time blocking or a lot of things would manage if I didn't manage my brain. And that for me actually, yeah, it resonated a lot and made me consider the time coaching because I thought it was really fun. I felt the nature of practicing and working with other people in a safe space in a community was really was something that caught my attention. And yes, once I was in, I really loved the community and I didn't want to let go. So I also joined Time Hackers afterwards. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you all. Yeah, you know what's interesting as I'm hearing you guys speak is something that I've not really said before, but I'd love to hear your opinions on it, which is I think the certification, it teaches you how to coach, it teaches you the time hacker tools, but it also is almost like a little mastermind of the tools where we speak about co-creating it. So I would love for anyone to share about their experience um joining maybe the certification first. I think you and Melanie both did that. I mean, Melanie had worked with our one-on-one coaches before. I actually love that you've all come through different channels as well. So what it was like for you navigating, learning the time tools and learning the coaching tools and being in a community together. Yes, Melanie.
So for me, the community was one of the best things for so many reasons. And one was that just what you said, like all three of us came in through different ways. So we have different experiences with the tools. And that was the case for pretty much everyone in the cohort together. And so we did have a lot of people who were like pros at the tools. Like they would just immediately be like, well, the time audit, like they just knew all the things. And I loved that. And then there were people like me who were like, I'm studying while I'm doing it. But doing that in community to me was like the best part because you get all of that. You get experience with all of that.
Yes, and I think that is exactly the point. I think a lot of people listening to this kind of need to get given that permission that like yes, obviously people join who have been our clients for ages and know the tools because that's an obvious path, but also you get to join at the point that you are because you feel called to, like what Carolina was saying, that I can see this problem, I want to be part of the solution, and you don't need to put yourself on like a wait list or on like a delay because I think that there's a lot of beauty in meeting things where they are because someone can do something 3 times and you'll still interpret it differently because of your experience, because of your background. Yeah. Denise, anything to add?
Well, I think the group is really key because it is greater than the sum of its parts.
Mm-hmm.
It just compounds. Even if you're just as an observer, and watching two people interact, it's so rich and it's so textural. And then when we start to deconstruct it, and people are commenting in the group, it's just really, really rich soil. And there's a lot to be taken from it. And the fact that we get to watch the replays and really marinate in some of those moments that were really special, I think is very, very powerful. And sometimes just in the replay, something will pop up that you didn't notice at all when you were there live. So it's just really, it's constantly changing. And it really is, like a body of water or something where it just is fluid and moving all the time and is just lovely in whatever state it's in. So it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing as well, getting to see that the learning that is created by people in the community sharing what they're learning and people getting to comment on that and people getting to ask questions on that. It really felt like that layered, like, and it doesn't have to be, much to Melanie's point, it doesn't have to be I'm watching an hour of something to learn something. It can be someone picked out a comment or shared something about their coaching experience that opened up something to me, like so quickly and so fast. Because yeah, that is how we like to teach.
Yeah.
How can we support people to have an easy and time effective evolution, let's say.
Yeah, I think so much learning is just basically chalk and talk. It just doesn't, it's one dimensional pretty much. Not that the points aren't valid, but it isn't a full body experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Carolina?
Yeah, I will just add that I think while everything that you teach in Time Hackers is very practical, for me, being able to watch it live and several times and what is the effect on people, for my brain, it's super helpful to see how will that work in real life. And even when a lot of the examples are practical, when you see that on real coaching several times, I think yes, it shows the potential that it has. And it's funny that Denise was mentioning, I was just this weekend rewatching some of the coaching actually that Melanie was coaching me about something, and I was taking notes, and I was like, it felt like I wasn't there because I did take a lot of things, and now I took a whole different things from that same call just because I was watching from another place probably and a little bit more like observing the coaching for myself, and
Yeah.
it was super powerful. So I do think that seeing live the power of coaching and several times is something that is super powerful. And I will just say that the community, it's amazing. I love that we all have very different backgrounds. I love that we have different knowledge of the tools, and yet it felt always super inclusive. And I think that, yeah, it was very beautiful to see how we can choose that we belong, which is something that you told us. But I really felt that the community make it easy to make that reality. So I think the community part is also, for me, is the most powerful part. Like all the tools, all the things are amazing, but the community, it's really, really powerful when we take it and what it takes it to the next level.
Yes. I think it's so rare to be in a space where everyone kind of has a common goal and it's not exactly the same, right? So it's like we value this work, we want to do more of this in the world, we want to improve our own time skills. Like there's a lot of similarity, and like not everyone is going to end up with the same copy and paste business because you get to do it. And I think that, I mean, as well as what you all brought and hopefully what we brought too, like I just think it's such a unique space to be in for learning. So I love that all of you experienced that, and I definitely saw it too. Um, Carolina, you just mentioned something that I was thinking about this recently as I'm, creating the marketing to open up the doors to the next cohort. Because you guys were the first class where I took all the learning and put it on private podcasts, so that every single call was either live coaching with feedback or a business workshop or some kind of like lab. And I was thinking about this in the marketing. There were like 50 plus opportunities to get coached, give coaching, receive coaching when we look at the calls, when we look at the peer coaching, when we look at the coaching with time hacker coaches, when we look at the replays and so on. And I was like, that is mind blowing. Like, I don't think I intentionally did it, right? Like, but it feels to me very unique. So I'd love to hear a little bit more from you guys about what that created for you. Just that mass exposure, because I'll share, for example, one of the things that I learned. So what it created and what you learned from it. One of the big things that I learned observing the coaching, that I've said before, but this time we got to see it so much. So like Carolina's saying, there's saying and there's seeing, which is there is no one right path to coaching. And what I mean is we would see someone coach someone, and then afterwards in our discussion and breakdown and the evaluation that we go through, it was very rare that everyone was like, I would have done the exact same coaching. And sometimes it was like, I actually like almost strongly wouldn't have done that, but I can see how it created the safety for the client to speak in a way that I hadn't anticipated, which was for me that is just such a rich learning experience to be able to do something and be like, I would have thought that was wrong and it wasn't. Like that is the point. I would hate for you to come and be like, I knew this. So just wanted to reflect that back to you if there was anything for you guys experiencing so much coaching and so much tool implementation in the peer coaching, in the group coaching, in getting coaching by our coaches, if there was anything that, how that impacted you or anything that you learned for the listeners. And I'll come to, Carolina.
Yes, I can go. I think it opens up that there is no perfect way of doing coaching, and I have a very perfectionist mindset, and sometimes I feel that it's like a checklist, and I came maybe thinking that there was one way that you would teach us to coach, And there are the tools underneath and the way we show up. So there are some guidelines, but just being able to see that you could have thought watching the coach that you will handle the situation differently and still was helpful for the people, it was mind blowing because I think it empowers us to know that there is space for each one of us to show authentically, and that if we trust the process, we can help the person, even if we come from different places, we ask different questions. But if we are there and we truly trust the process, things will flow in a way that it will be helpful for the person that we're coaching and for ourselves. I learned a lot when I was watching other people coaching as much as I never thought that. I thought that you, unless you were coaching, that's where you get the feedback. But I think I learned even more when I was watching, because I didn't have the pressure probably that I was coaching. So it was a little bit more like outside of myself and not in my mind, trying to see that if I was doing it right or not. That I know we work on that, but just being able to see from outside and then share the feedback, I think that part is super powerful.
What do you think it creates for the quality of coaching when we're not like, there's a right way, there's a checklist, I have to do 1, 2, 3. Oh no, I said the wrong thing. Like, what might it create?
I think it creates space, trust, and that this can be fun. I think just some lightness, that you can take this in a learning and experiment way, and it feels super spacious for me specifically, that sometimes I tend to be like, this is the process, like, as being super spacious is something that I have in that space. I think allow me at least to grow and to develop more.
Yes, I love that. Thank you. Melanie?
Yeah, I have so many thoughts. I love everything Carolina said there. One thing that came to me was how I came into this kind of wondering, like, what is my identity as a coach? Like, what style of coach am I? Like, you don't really know. Like, you can kind of wonder. And so, by seeing so many different coaches and being both participating as getting coached or watching others and evaluating, you get a sense really quick of how your coaching style is unique or different. And then you also see the value in it because you see the value in everybody else's style. So you're like, wait a minute. Logically, I can't see how amazing these 10 different styles are, but then say, well, oh, but mine sucks. Like, you can't, like, it's not even logical. So you're sort of forced to give yourself credit, if that makes any sense at all. So that's one of the things I really liked. Like, I realized I'm sort of I'm very lighthearted by nature, even though I'm like also kind of, I don't know, right. Anyway, I don't want to get too, I'm like morbid in a way. Like, I just kind of am, but also, I don't know any other way to put it. But I'm also very like lighthearted too. So my coaching style is that. Like, there's always going to be a little bit of laughing, unless it's not appropriate, of course. Always a few jokes. And then I'm like, okay, that's like a style. Like, it just kind of is what naturally happens, and that has its value the same way everybody else's does. And so I loved that. And then the other thing you asked about, what is the value, or what did it create that there wasn't like a checklist to do this or do that? And the thing that came to my mind was like magic, like magical moments get to happen when someone's not telling you, you need to say this, you need to go there, this is the next prompt. Like, that's when the magical little one-liners get dropped by the person being coached or the coach. And to me, I would just say not having the checklist is like, that is the opportunity for magic right there.
I love this because I think about this with time generally, where we're like, we're so obsessed with time, but I'm like, but time is limited. A checklist is also limited. You have to, I think exactly like you say that word was perfect, magic. Like, you have to go sometimes outside boundaries to create something that's not been created before, or experience things that are so unique and beautiful. So I love that. Thank you. Denise?
Well, I think magic is a great word, but it creates a sense of independence. You know, if I don't have to keep looking at the checklist, I get to really be present, and I get to be in the moment with the client, because your method is so client focused and it's just so open and about them. So it isn't ever really about me. And I just love that that just creates something unique every time. And but yet you get to have your full toolbox, if you will, with you. And it doesn't have to follow a pattern or a script. And it's genuine. And so that, I think, for the client is really important, that there's this sense of, you're with me, you're going to come with me wherever I go. You're agile enough.
I love that. Thank you.
So.
The other thing that I wanted to talk to was like, because I think two things happen in this room. It's like, one, your evolution as a coach, and two, your evolution as an individual in the world. And so I'd love to hear from you guys a little bit about like what changed for you as a coach, whether you were brand new to coaching or you've been coaching before, whatever, and what's changed for you as an individual. Denise, do you feel happy to continue the conversation?
Sure. Well, I'm very pleased to feel as though I'm not the coach that I have been coached from. Not that nice things haven't happened. I've had coaches before. I never considered being a coach, other than I did have, work with staff and have to teach and guide, but I didn't consider it coaching per se. So I knew I didn't think I wanted to be a coach because of the examples that I had had before. And like I said, there was good work there, but it was just not for me. So that was a total shift. There's so much, and it just went out quickly. The question again?
Just like potentially how you've evolved as a coach and how you've evolved as an individual. But also, Denise, if you don't mind, I actually loved your story in the certification. If we can share it.
Sure. Yeah.
Because there was a period when
yes.
Yeah. So just for everyone listening, so there was a period for Denise where she'd kind of fallen behind, and I imagine things were adding up, and maybe it felt easier to not show up after you've not shown up a little bit. And then you sent an email to us sharing everything and asking if you could recommit, which I thought was so powerful, because there is actually a checklist in the program, because we do, as in there's not a checklist of what to say, but there is work to be done. I hope it's very flexible and open and collaborative, but I could see how it would be very easy at a certain point to say, I've not shown up to any live calls and I need to show up to 5 and there's 4 left in the calendar. Does that mean I'm out? So, and just to share for the listeners, so I set Denise a challenge and she met it beautifully. And not only that, but everyone in the room, you came and you shared in the Facebook group, total transparency, this is what's going on, and everyone rallied around you, and it felt like a real group effort, and it was really beautiful to see. But I'd love for you to share a little bit for the listeners, maybe what was going on before, what almost stopped you, and how you overcame that to say, I want to recommit.
Well, I think my plate was way too full.
Yeah.
That was part of it. And there were a lot of really deep emotional things happening around me, as well as a lot of logistical things. So things that I couldn't control or couldn't just dip in and out of. So when I came back in, yes, to be embraced by the group was amazing. And it felt like I hadn't missed a beat. I mean, I missed a lot of opportunities of being in the room live, and I was so hesitant to come back because I didn't feel it was fair for everyone who had been doing the work to then say, okay, now you have to focus on me so I can catch up, with particularly with the peer coaching, or that I don't know your stories, I don't know you, and you know nothing about me. So I lost out on something special, but it did work out. And because of the nature of the group, I think I feel the full Monty, it's it's just right there. So yeah, just incredibly beautiful people. And something that was so amazing to me was how many people like you, Carolina, where English is not your first language, and people are relating. Even when their language skills, and not you necessarily, Carolina, but they're it's that's not limiting either.
Mhm.
We transcended a lot of what I always assume were communication barriers, being on Zoom, language, cultural, just a lot of different dimensions that were really present and made it just a full flower. It
Mhm.
was really nice. But yes, I wouldn't recommend that people dip out for so long. You're not doing yourself a service, but yes, it worked out, and I'm very happy about that. And I have to also really thank Elsa so much for she's back of house doing the work, and really was special and helped guide me through. So celebrate
Yeah.
her, your team.
Yes, we do have a wonderful team. Elsa is amazing, and I think it was actually such a gift that you gave to the community for everyone to meet you and everyone to step up, and they absolutely didn't have to, and we also didn't have to give you the opportunity, but it was such an additional rich learning experience for I think all of us, um, and I think it's that narrative of like in a lot of spaces it's like consistency, 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 and then you know we have to stop. That's the only option, and we can't finish things versus like
Right.
I said to you that this is what this is. I don't want to make it easy. If you're going to commit, this is what I want to see. And it would have been
Mhm.
very easy for your brain to say, no, we're not going to do this, but you met it, and then everyone else met you to do it, and it was, I think, such a gift to the space, and I'm just very proud of you and everyone, so thank you.
Thank
Can I
you.
jump in there and say
Yeah.
it totally was a gift to this space? And also, I think I mentioned a little bit about the power of like the one-liners, but like Denise, Carolina, everyone like has this special, each one has this special gift, and Denise has hers. And so it was like the moment she re-engaged, or I'll talk to you, like the moment you re-engaged, it was like we got to see you immediately because there wasn't, this group doesn't have, and the program as a whole doesn't have this like it doesn't require this mask of you. It doesn't require you to like be a
Yes.
certain way or say a certain thing. So like as soon as Denise was like, here I am, like I'm willing to catch up. Well, are y'all in to help? We were all like, yes, bam, let's go. And also we got to see a Denise like immediately too. And what a gift that was. So I just want to add that.
Yeah, like that was what was required of Denise. Was like, if you're gonna come in and you're gonna do this, you're gonna be open, be vulnerable, speak up, share, like add value. And I think about the stuff around selling, like you have to come in as a leader and you have to come in as a learner, and you did both. And I think that was really powerful. And in terms of like the question around how did we evolve as individuals and coaches, like for me, Denise, that was like such a powerful evolutionary opportunity to be like, my brain is telling me all the reasons I shouldn't or wouldn't, or this is going to be uncomfortable to ask for Vicky and the team, for Elsa, and for the other peers, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then come out the other side successful, but not only for you, but for everyone in the room. I think that was,
Yeah, it's that brain.
yeah. I know that feeling. I've been that.
Yeah,
Like my brain's
yeah,
like, oh, it's just easier to just quit and hide out and no one will know. I've gone out the back
yeah.
before. And that's why I was like, okay, I'm gonna offer something, and if it's a yes, then it will be worth it, and it really was.
Mhm.
So celebrating you.
Yeah.
Um, Melanie, have you got anything to share around your evolution as a coach? Because obviously you were doing this work before in an informal, maybe sometimes formal way, and also self.
Yeah, I think as a coach, there's so many differences, but I think one big one is having some tools to rely on. I mean, I know we've talked a lot about there is no checklist and all of that, which is absolutely true, but there is something that feels so good about having such a deep knowing of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and having so many different options available to you that you can see a path, and then having these paths so like deeply ingrained because we practice so much, allows you to be me, I should say, to be so present with the person I'm with. So instead of being like, I'm talking to Carolina and I'm thinking about what am I going to say next? What am I going to, instead, I'm just like in it with Carolina because in my mind, I know I've got like 50 different avenues available to me. So I'm not going to be stressing out while she's talking about the avenues. I'm going to be like in it and like, okay, this is where we're at, like feeling with her. So I think that's one of the biggest things as a coach, where even though I had done coaching before, I don't think I know that I didn't feel like I had as many avenues available and accessible to me in the moment as I have now. And that opens up this much deeper ability to connect with people and to yeah, just be a little bit more kind of strategic about the outcomes as well with
Mm.
them. That's the main
Brilliant.
thing.
Yeah, I want to jump in because before you answer about you, because what you just said, and tell me if this resonates, made me think about like essentially what we've taught you guys is the new language. So once you know how to speak the language, you're fluent. You're not like, oh, let me ask for, okay, I want an iced coffee. Let me, how, what's ice and coffee in this new language? And it's like you just speak the language, and that
Mhm.
that creates that presence where you're like, no, I know how to communicate. I've got these 50 different communication avenues instead of I've got the one communication avenue that I need to get right and the direct So does that resonate? Because that's what I was thinking when you were speaking.
It totally does. Although I'm horrific at foreign languages and
Me too.
like terrible. But yes, it totally does. You do have those language and yeah, you don't have to think about the elements. You're not trying to put the elements together. The elements just exist in your head already. And so you're like, there's the element. It's not this plus this kind of thing.
So
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's great for anyone listening who, like me, also is like, wait, no, I struggle with languages. So it's like, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
thank you.
And
What
then as
about
an individual, I'd say one of the things that's been so different is the way I, again, in the moment can just break down and see all the little decisions that need to be made. And then also this realization, I'd say, I think it was our first call where we were like, okay, basically, what is your superpower? And mine, and I can't remember exactly what I said, but basically the joke with me, and it's not a joke because it's true, I can make anything complicated. Like it can be like, what are you doing today? You know, like if you want it overcomplicated, I'm your girl. But that also presents this really cool opportunity where I have evolved in a way where that is also my superpower of being like, listen, I know how to automatically make that so difficult. Like I'm a pro. I've been doing it for so many years. But now I have the tools for myself and to help other people as well see it and just be like, hey, we are making this so much harder on ourselves than we have to. Let's not do that. That's probably
mm,
been the biggest, one of the biggest changes for me as an individual, which does carry into how I coach, but it's been a game
mm.
changer for my own life. That's for sure.
And I think it's like understanding, because I think there's a lot of shaming. A lot of the reason why we do this superpower exercise is very intentional, because a lot of us shame that thing about ourselves instead of meeting it with understanding of like the reason your brain wants to overcomplicate things is so that it can delay the scary things. Like very logical. And no one's ever taught us that. That was my story with anxiety, right? Like it was really like there's this problem and I have this problem and I am a problem with this thing versus no, it's a very logical thing. It makes complete sense. And when we can meet it with that, it just invites so much compassion and understanding for us individually that then we are able to give to our clients as well.
I'll add one thing to that real quick, which is another thing I love is that we talk about fear a lot, but in a way that lets us get comfortable with it versus feeling like something's wrong because we have that fear, which is ultimately, like you said, what creates that attempt to delay things, but instead just very much normalizing it. Like, of course, there
Yes.
is fear associated. Like, and so that's been a game changer for me where I'm noticing the fear that I have and all these things and I'm like that's just normal. Honestly, it's a daily experience. Like it's not
Yes.
reserved for these big moments. It can be I mean a lot of different times, but it has just been so normalized through this and it's built into the process too, which I love that for me as an individual and for everybody that we're supporting as well.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes. I think, what does the world look like when we are essentially more self-accepting? Because, like you say, fear is part of our experience. I think a lot of overworking or overcommitting or saying yes to plans we don't want, or I used to drink 7 cups of coffee in a day. A lot of that comes from like wanting to get away from the fear. And I just think like, what is possible when we're stopping? Like the fear essentially controls us because we're obsessed with shutting it down and avoiding it and putting it away. So much of our energy goes there. And what are we capable of as humans when we don't have to do that? Um, yeah, Carolina, what's evolved for you both in terms of as a coach and as an individual?
Yes. I think I will start with me as an individual, and I'll connect with what Melanie was saying. For me, I don't recall exactly, but I think my superpower was waiting for things to be perfect before you start, to have all the knowledge, all the things. So for me, when we had our first coach lab or learning lab and we had to start coaching, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't even had time to go through all the content," was it triggers a lot of fear. And through the process, I did understand that there's no such thing as being ready, fully ready, as like my mind wants to be ready and have everything perfect and control. And that is showing up in all areas of my life. I do think it's a journey, because it's very easy to go back to the patterns that you have. And I think the gift is now I can see it most of the time clearly, and I'm like, okay, it's okay. And then coming with a little bit of self-compassion and understanding that is normal, which changes the way for me that I can move from there, versus self-litigation, like, yeah, you shouldn't be feeling this, or by now, because for me it's been also thinking that I've been learning this, so I should be by now different or do things differently. And sometimes I am, a lot of times, but some other times I'm not, and that's okay too. So I think that's something that for me has been great. That is, I will continue to work on this. This probably will come back a lot of times, and it's okay. And it doesn't say anything about anything bad about me. It's just normal, and I I I switch faster to the gift of being able to notice that, and I think that changes a lot.
Yes, I think it's super important. I think a lot of, the language out there really speaks, I always say like you're gonna stay human, and it's my favorite thing about you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like in terms of, I genuinely believe the best coaches, this was my story, this is all of your stories, because this is who I speak to, are people who have this superpower, have this thing, not because then you solved it and you never, ever, ever, ever do it again. But because hopefully you continue to keep choosing growth and keep choosing evolution. And when you step outside of the cave, doesn't matter how big you've made the cave, how cozy you've made the cave, as long as you are going to keep choosing to take a step out, and that could be, in terms of, work and career stuff, health, relationships, whatever it might be, then your brain is so wired to keep you alive that it's like, let me just do the pattern that I've always done that kept us safe. Now, if we make that wrong, then we can never step out of the cave, because that's where it happens. Instead of, like Carolina's saying, which is so powerful, I step out the cave, my brain does what it's designed to do, and I get to choose how to meet it. Now, sometimes it's immediate, and I'm like, oh, I know this. And sometimes, and I don't know if you guys know this, but when I was promoting hustle-free holidays last year, I basically 2 days in noticed I was hustling, and I was like, oh, like it's still there. Of course it's still there. Hustling was my programming for the longest time. Now, if I make that wrong, then I can't go out and have a business. I just can't, because my brain, its first thing is like, how do we do all the things yesterday? Okay, thank you for your suggestion. Sometimes I'm 2 days in before I realize what's happening. But sometimes it's immediate. But again, it's like, oh, of course, like this is how I was indoctrinated into, like, this is what creates success, so it's okay. So I just love that you've, hopefully for everyone listening, I don't want this work to make anyone a robotic or AI. This is our differentiator. Carolina's differentiator is when someone comes for coaching with her in 2 years, she's not a software that's like, now I do everything perfect. She's like, yes, I relate because last week my brain offered the same thing and I was able to overcome it as the world evolves, as she evolves. So I just think it's so beautiful. So thank you. Go on. And then as a coach, I would love to hear.
Yeah, I will just add one thing to that. And I think it's something that we learn here about being relational, because for me, it was also like this person needs to be the expert. And that had a lot of, yeah, it generated a lot of thoughts in my mind. And how can I be the expert? And of course, we study and of course, we practice. And that gives us some, yeah, I don't know if expertise, but practice with the things, because we are putting in the work, but it keeps us at the same time that we are always work in process. And I think that's super, super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So as a coach, I would say that I'm still in the process of finding out who I am as a coach. I didn't really join the program because I had super clear what I wanted to do with coaching. I realized that I haven't had any formal education of coaching before this, but I have been coaching some people that I work with or even through friendship. So I do think it's something that I do, and I think this was super powerful for me to connect and start identifying what are the things that I like, what are the things that I would love to do. And I will say that I am in that process now that we're coming to an end, and I'm trying to think what I want to do with this. And I feel, again, as I mentioned, the community, there are people who have super clear what they want to do with this. And at the beginning, I felt that I wouldn't belong just because I don't know exactly what I want to. But I do. And I think seeing other people and getting inspired by what other people are doing and seeing the possibilities in other people, it has opened up possibilities for me that I probably didn't thought about it. When I joined, I was like, no, I'm not doing this to be a coach. And I'm like, now, well, I might. I don't know exactly how or when, but it did open up possibilities for me, and I'm really grateful for that.
I think that's so important. And it's actually one of the things I noted down when I knew I was speaking to you three together is what's interesting about you three is none of you had decided you were going to be coaches when you signed up. And that is, I think it's just so important to give people listening the permission to sign up because you want to sign up because you're interested, and not to say, I can only sign up if I'm 100% decided and I've got my website built and I know, and I know what, because I think for some people that's so possible, and it was for some people in this room, and otherwise it's not. Like you have to take a step forward to get smarter. So Carolina's shared about her experience through that. I don't know if Denise or Melanie, either of you want to share about your experience joining, not being certain that you were going to even but offer coaching, time coaching, and then how it's evolved for you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think this is the kind of thing that most people should go through sometime in their life, because it's so valuable just for yourself and your relationships, and to be able to really understand how your brain is responding, and that you can start to rewrite these scripts, and it doesn't take therapy, it doesn't take just untold resources and a long time for you to gain that clarity. And a child learning to walk, I mean, if they were shamed the first time they fell on their bums, nobody would walk. You just get up, and it's just a natural thing. You just get up and do it again, and you try again. And you were talking about that of failure, and the whole acronym of failure. And so I think those are just really valuable tools, and the human experience, which we're getting so far away from. And like I said, it can transcend into a Zoom format. So it's possible to just keep doing these things and keeping our tools human. I just think it's critical. So for me personally, this was beneficial for relationships in my life. It's been helpful for me at 60, pushing 65, to learn to ask for help, because this perfectionism, because there's so much pressure to be X, Y, Z, or you'd say Z, you know, in all these categories. We have to be experts in so many things just to navigate life. And the truth is, we don't. There are experts, and they're near us, and they're happy to help. Um, and you know, Martha Stewart can do her thing her way, but nobody else has to follow. But we see these influences, and we try to emulate, people that we admire or have skills, and that's perfect. But as time and time again, it comes up, though we're appreciating those because they're already in us. We're not trying to develop something from whole cloth, you know. So that's my take on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. So rich. Thank you for sharing. Melanie?
Yeah, I would say so my story, it's kind of funny, like it makes me laugh now because there were months in between signing up and the cohort actually starting. So because I signed up pretty early, and at the time I'd had my business a couple of years, unbeknownst to me, but actually known to most people around me, I didn't like what I was doing. Like I was like the last to know, which is so funny. But the decision to do this and then communicating this decision to some folks around me was when I was like, wait a minute. Do I like actually for real want to do that? And they're like, yeah, like you're the last to know. Like, didn't you know? I'm like, no, I was in denial, but it was so obvious to everyone else. So for me, signing up to do this, even though I didn't want to be a like formal coach, like a one-on-one coach person, was hilarious. It was just hilarious. And so by the time it started, I did know that. So that's the cool part, is that because there were months in between, I did know. I was like, oh yeah, that's why I signed up. Ha. And then I got to start knowing that's what I was going to be doing. So
Yeah.
it was a unique experience because I got both. I got to be a part of it because once you make the decision, that's part of your journey. Like your journey starts at the decision. It's not the day the cohort begins. It's when you say yes. And so that whole part and that whole evolution is its own thing. And then when the cohort started was a very different experience.
Yes, it's fun because every time we have people sign up early and then like we have an official launch period and people come in, it is like a different experience, and like
Mhm.
getting to hold that. Um, it's something I'm thinking about, like how do we bring more people in sooner so that they can have that experience as well? Because I do think it's
Yeah.
yummy. Um,
Yeah, it is.
yeah. But actually, it's interesting because obviously you and I spoke a lot about time hackers coming in and doing things at the organization that you work for. And if I'm thinking about it now, it's like you were always such a champion. But like, of course, it makes
Yeah.
sense. You're like, I
It
believe in
it,
this.
it really
I see
does.
the value of this. Yeah.
Yes, I've seen the value from the beginning because
Yeah.
yes, the organization wanting that, me being a client of time hackers, doing things with time, like the whole time. And then but I was the last to know that I was supposed
Yeah.
to also like be one.
Yes, you know what? Quite often, more and more we hear from a few people like, I either want to bring you into the organization or I want to certify. We hear that like more and more actually, like, or I'm going to do it. And,
Interesting.
and really, it's like, yeah, we could go into, my preference is for people to certify and bring it into organizations where they know the culture. Like, there's just so much education.
Mm,
Like, yes, we can do it. And I just think, because of diverse backgrounds, experience, application of the tools, what you guys see. I'm thinking about, you guys, I give you a coaching program, and I'm thinking about Melanie when you were like, oh, I love this coaching program and I love that I get to make it my own as well. It's like that
mhm,
to me is the magic of the world. There's things, even when you guys are creating the projects and the marketing based off of the tools, the way what you guys pick up on, what you guys see, um, the way you communicate it. I can't think of the word now, but the one where I said surfer sit up and Melanie said, do you remember? I can't remember what it was. But you were
no.
like, some people can't sit up, so I'm going to add this, and it was like, oh, of course, with your
Oh, yeah, the
background.
accessibility language
Yeah.
around like, because yeah, for faster and S
Yes.
is sit. And I
Yes.
know this by heart now because I did my little project on it.
Yes.
video to be released one day. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's physically inaccessible for some folks to technically sit up. So it's like,
Yeah.
but what was the intent? The intent was to somehow physically signal to your brain that you're like locked in. So that could look
Yeah.
different for different people. Yeah.
And it was just, and there's lots of examples of this, but it's such a beautiful example of like, I created something with my brain, with what my brain could see and think of based on this experience at that point, and it was like made better, literally. And I just think that that's what I want for this work. You know, it's really an evolution of self, evolution of coaching, but evolution of the work so that we can help more people. And that's why, you know, I'm intentionally growing the certification. So. Thank you all for being part of it. Is there anything that I've just noticed the time? This has been too fun. Is there anything that you wanted to share that maybe I've not given you the opportunity to, or anything that you think would have been valuable to know at your pre-decision point that you want to share? I'm going to let you guys, I'm not going to call on names for this one. I'm going to let you guys go for it because you know, to give yourselves a minute to think. And for anyone listening while they're thinking, the link will be in the show notes to apply and join the next cohort. We would love to have you join and co-create what I call the time revolution. And you probably heard me speak about it in another episode, so I won't go too into it. But Carolina, yeah?
Yes, I wanted to share something that I was hearing from Melanie saying that a lot of people knew what she wanted to do before she did. And what I want to offer is also that this community can help you build trust on yourself while you build it. So I thought it was super beautiful that even when I didn't think that I was ready for this or I could be a coach, the community actually saw things in me that I wasn't ready yet to see on myself. And I was able to accept it because I could see that in other people. And it's not fair for me to see all of this in other people and not be able to accept what they're seeing on me. So I think that part of working with a community that will provide that opportunity and maybe borrow belief while you build yourself, it's something that for me was beautiful and super powerful. So I was just thinking about that while Melanie was talking. So I wanted to share that.
Yes, borrowing belief. And you know, it's like I trust, you know, you build trust with these people and you're like, well, I either believe what this person says or I don't. And it kind of breaks your brain a little bit, doesn't it? It's like, but my own negativity bias, it's so
Yeah.
strong, but I also really believe in these people. And so I think that's really powerful. So thank you for sharing. Yeah, Denise?
I just want to say I don't believe there's a downside. Just do it. If you're thinking you want to do it because there's something rich waiting for you. So
So simple. I love it. Thank you.
I hate to end us on what sounds like a scary note, but it is so true and it's what's coming up. So there's probably someone who needs to hear it. There are very few opportunities we have to get real feedback, both positive and constructive, from trusted people. Like that is not an experience that we have because as humans, we are so averse to sharing things that a person doesn't want to hear. And in this group, you get the opportunity to get reflections from other people of things you could have done different. And I think that is truly something we just don't get. We just don't get it. Or we do, and it's from people we don't respect, and we maybe even think they suck a little bit. And we're like, that doesn't help me. I'm going to let that bounce off. Whereas the feedback here, it's like, I'm not letting it bounce off. I respect this person. They get me and they see this thing that could be done differently. So I actually don't even know another place that I can think of where I've been able to get that type of experience. So for anyone who wants to get some real feedback too on how to be not best because that's not the right word, but a even better version or more evolved version of you and yourself and as a coach, then I would say that's a really distinguished thing about the program.
Yes, I love what you
agreed.
said about often it's people that you don't want the feedback from because it's true. And yes, and just for anyone listening who's like, that sounds so scary, you know, I would say the undercurrent thing that is done throughout this is a very unique space because it's the predominant thing that we're creating in this room is safety. And I think that is what's often skipped. in places. And so if you think, oh, that sounds like a challenge or a stretch or uncomfortable, of course it does, because you've probably not been in the experience where safety has been taught to every single person, prioritized, co-created, reinforced over and over and over. But yeah, I agree with you all. I think it's such just a unique learning experience. I was not a great student in school. And when I decided I wanted to create a certification to train coaches to cover my mat leave, that's how it initially started. I really got to create the learning experience that I wish I saw in the world. And so thank you guys for helping make that happen. We're going to leave in the show notes, obviously, the link to the time coach certification, but also links to Denise, Melanie, and Carolina, whether that's a website or a social link, so you can carry on with their journey, you can connect with them, maybe hire them, whatever it might be. Like, they are time coaches out in the world, or not if they decide not to, but they might, anyway, you can connect with them, and stay connected with us. And thank you for listening. And thank you all for sharing your experiences. It's been so fun. And I'll see you guys. Go inside time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye,
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
y'all.